In January the 22nd, I guess the Lord had me in the right place, the right time, with the right commitment. I was president of the Selma City Teachers Association. And then we had agreed that, and I persuaded teachers for the first time to engage in a teachers' march. And so we agreed, after they signed their names to a petition, that we were going to march as a teacher group. And so on January 22nd, we met at Clark Elementary School here, which was the school where I attended the first grade through the sixth grade. We met upstairs, and we marched double file. My partner was my 10th, 11th, and 12th grade science teacher. His name was Mr. A.J. Durgan. He was the incoming president of the Selma City Teachers Association. And we led that march, teachers, for the first time in the United States, coming down the steps of Clark Elementary School, down Lawn Street, down to Alabama Avenue, down to the courthouse. Teachers, for the first time. Getting down to the county courthouse, that was standing next to the steps, the superintendent of education, the chairman of the board of education, to persuade me, because I was a teacher, to take the teachers back to the school, because we had made a point, and that no longer should we try to pursue that right from that particular point. And I told them we had a right to be at the county courthouse. It was our courthouse. We were not backing down from our right to be there. And I asked the superintendent and the chairman of the board, who signed my check, to step aside. We went up those steps. Jim Clark had his deputies across the door, and he indicated that we were trying to make a mockery out of his courthouse. And we indicated to him that that was our courthouse also. He gave us 1 minute to move off of those steps. At the expiration of that minute, he took the billy club and jabbed us down the steps on the sidewalk. And my partner, Mr. A.J. Durgan, who, as I said, was my teacher, he was not quite used to that stuff like I was. And he asked me on the ground, he said, "What shall we do?" I said, "We are going back." He said, Yeah. And so we went back the second time. We jabbed down the steps after a minute, and he asked me the same question. I gave him the same answer, and he gave me the same response. The third time we went, I really was trying to get all the teachers arrested because teachers were not aware of the tremendous influence. They were the largest black professional group here in Dallas County. And so after going back the third time, he said, "If you don't get off these steps," Jim Clark said, "we're going to arrest you." I said to myself, exactly what I want you to do. And so at about 45 seconds before that minute expired, someone on the inside of the courthouse came and pulled him on the inside of the courthouse door and said, I didn't go in there with him, but I can imagine what they told him. For goodness sake, don't arrest those teachers.
Oh, yeah. That was the man himself, Mr. Frederick D. Reese. I'm explaining his involvement in leading the Teachers March, January the 22nd, 1965.
That's
Welcome to the Lineage Podcast.
welcome.
It's always an honor, man, to be able to come here each and every Thursday, to have conversations with the audience and also to bring special guests on to be informative, and to be open about discussions that we have and things that's going on in our community, man. It is I don't take this, me and my brother, we don't take this privilege lightly. So welcome y'all to Lineage Podcast. If you don't know who we are the grandsons of the Reverend Dr. Frederick D. Reese. He is the man that officially signed the invitation to invite Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King to Selma, Alabama to assist in the voting rights movement. If you have been watching this show for a minute, you would know not only did he do that, that was just a piece of his legacy.
That's
A
right.
lot of people think that the voting rights movement started in 1965. For some reason, they feel like that Martin Luther King came in January, and in March they were walking across the bridge. They feel like it was only 2 months.
But we love to educate.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that could not be further from the truth. It started. I'll tell you, granddad, it started in grade school. But the movement in Selma started, it was years before 1965. If I was to, I would say, if I could, it was about, I think the whole, I'd say a good solid 7 years. I'll say a good solid 7. I go from 58 to 65, just to cover all grounds. I could go longer than that, but I'll just say that. If you don't know what Reverend Dr. Frederick D. Reese did besides that, like I said, he led the world's first Teachers March on January 22nd, 1965. He was instrumental in getting the first black sheriff in Selma, Alabama, the first black police chief in Selma, Alabama. He was a principal in Selma, Alabama. He was a teacher in Selma, Alabama. He was a pastor and preacher for over 50 years in Selma, Alabama. He was an assistant superintendent in Selma, Alabama. He also led the boycott in Walmart in the 80s that had the president of Walmart to fly down because they would not hire black cashiers and managers. And
right.
It is still in the clause today as we speak. Yeah, he was instrumental in getting the prefix Mr. and Mrs. in front of African American names in the phone book. I know I'm missing things. It's just sometimes it's too much to come in. Selective outrage, yo, what's up now? We have a great show for today. We really do. We have a special guest. If you've seen our posts, we have none other than Miss Gina Duvernay. I can't fit all of her titles on the one line here, but I'll just say she's an archivist and a cultural consultant and a librarian, and we can go. I'll let her tell you everything what's going down. But you know how we do it here in the Lineage Podcast. Before we bring our extinguished guests on, we have to have Miss First Nurse Kimberly Reese come in with her health segment and give us our information, what we need per week. Now, I don't know if she can see this. I got my breast cancer awareness color going on right here. Our information, what we need. Yeah, I got my breast cancer awareness going on right here. So I know that's what she's talking about. This is part 2, breast cancer awareness part 2. So we will be right back. We're going to take a 30-second commercial, and then we're going to bring First Nurse Kimberly Reese in, and then we're going to get into the show. So we'll be right back. What's going on? I told y'all we coming right back. 30 seconds. We don't lie. We have First Nurse Miss Kimberly Reese here with our health segment. It's going to be breast cancer awareness part 2. Kim, you see I got my colors on.
I see. Look, I got my colors on too.
I see you representing.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and get out the way and go ahead and give you the floor.
All right. Hello, MJ. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for having me this Thursday. We are, as you know, we're still in the month of October. So we are still going to talk about breast cancer awareness. As you see, I'm wearing my pink scarf, and MJ is representing too with his T-shirt. We're representing the ones who are fighting, the ones who have survived, and the ones who passed on. So that's why we wear the color pink. So today's segment is called Breast Cancer Awareness Part 2. As a review from last week, I talked about the importance of breast self-examination, early detection, and getting annual mammograms. When doing a breast self-exam and a lump is found, schedule an appointment as soon as possible with your primary care physician. Most likely, your PCP will then refer you to a breast clinic to see a breast specialist. At the breast clinic, the breast specialist uses an ultrasound, as you see right here. That's the lady. You can go back. Yeah, the lady. She's doing the ultrasound, the breast specialist, and that's when they are examining the breast further to assess any types of lumps, and to assess the breast tissue. And we also have an ultrasound image that shows a cyst, fibroadenoma, and cancer. Luckily, when you find a lump, it's not always cancerous. That's the good news about it. But my advice would be, if you find a lump, don't assume that, oh, it's just a lump or it's just my breast tissue changing. Always go and seek trained professional medical advice to make sure and rule out non-cancerous versus cancerous lumps. So as you see, as I said, all lumps are not cancerous. The cyst, the first picture you see is a cyst. And that's what it shows on the ultrasound, a cyst. The cyst is a fluid-filled sac of, the lump is fluid-filled. And as you see, cysts they have a clean edge. It's like a circle oval edge. Fibroadenoma, it's a benign. Both the cysts are benign and the fibroadenoma are benign. It's also non-cancerous. It's a solid rubber tumor that's often in young women caused by reproductive hormones. And as you see, the third image is actually cancer. That image is more rigid. It's irregular borders. So that's what this is just an image of an ultrasound. So I'm just giving you more visual prompts of what you're looking at. Cysts versus fibroadenoma and actual cancer cells. And remember, cancer is when the tumor is actually irregular. The edges are irregular. The next pictures I have is also the pictures that shows the physical changes of breast cancer. The first one, the top picture is an example of a lady actually finding a lump with the 4 pads of her finger, and she's actually searching for a lump, and that's representing a lump being found. The picture below, that's the red flag of discharge. Your breast should not have any discharge. If you're not lactating, if you're not breastfeeding, other than that, you should not have any discharge from the nipple. And the bottom picture shows a discharge of bloody discharge, tinged discharge. That's a red flag as well. The next picture, this is also a red flag. As you see, the size and shape of the breast is the changes. You will see a lump under her breast. One breast may be bigger than the other. That's a red flag. The bottom picture is also a red flag. It's an inverted nipple. If your nipple is going inward, that's a red flag of possible breast cancer. The next picture shows scaly skin around the nipple. That's a red flag. And the one at the bottom, skin rash, that's a sign of breast cancer. Red rashy skin, that's abnormal too. And last but not least, we have when the breast tissue is, think of an orange peel. If the pores are inward and they are starting to become hard, and it's like an orange peel. That's the best way I can describe it. That's a red flag as well. The next picture, I also have a picture of a male. As you see, that's a male inflammatory breast cancer. As you see on the right nipple, it's swollen and red. So I just want to give you guys more visual of more visual prompts of what to see with breast cancer and what to look out for, what you're actually looking for. And those are all the pictures I have. Last but not least, I want to leave you with Dr. Liz. She's a breast specialist, and I have a video for you. It's a 3-minute and 40-second video, and she'll give you more detail on how to actually check your breasts. And that's all I have for you.
Right, gotcha. I can play it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Surgeon, and I'm going to show you how to examine your breasts properly. The first thing you're going to do is look. You're going to get topless in front of the mirror and look at yourself. If you've got heavy breasts, lift them up so you can see underneath. Then turn to the side and the other. You're looking for lumps that you can see sticking through the surface of the skin. You're looking to see whether the nipple has been pulled in, and you're looking to see if there's a little puckering of the skin, and it might be really, really subtle. And that's because breast cancers grow and they cling on to strands of tissue that go from the chest wall at the back through to the skin. And as they grow, they constrict those strands of tissue. And that's what causes a dimpling that you might see. The next thing you do is put your hands above your head. Then you put your hands on your hips and push in, tensing the chest muscles. And doing both of those things can show you a lump or a tethering that you wouldn't otherwise see. Hi, the next step in checking your breasts is to feel. What most people don't realise is the best way to examine your breasts isn't standing up, unless you have very, very small breasts. But really, you should do it how a breast surgeon does it, and that's with you lying flat at about 30 degrees. For example, lying down in bed with your head propped up on a couple of pillows. What that does is lift a heavy breast onto the chest wall. And if you've got particularly large breasts that like to flop over to the side, you can roll your body towards the midline. And what that does is lift your breast tissue onto the chest wall, making it much easier to feel if there's anything there. So how do you feel your breasts? The most important thing is to know which part of your hand to use. And it's the undersurface of your fingers. Keeping your fingers flat, you bend them at the knuckles. And what you're trying to do is to squish your breast tissue against your rib cage underneath, like this, by pushing down, seeing if you can feel a lump. A lot of women, especially around the time of the month, can have very lumpy breasts. It can feel like a mixture of sweet corn and jelly, and it's completely normal. Often this bit of the breast is the most lumpiest bit, and if it does feel lumpy, check the other side. They're probably the same. If there is a lump there, for example, my lollipop, you can squish this breast tissue all the way down to the chest wall, and the same on the other side. If there is a lump there, you'll feel it. You won't be able to push down as flat. And that's the lump that you probably need to let your GP know to get it checked out. So you're going to examine your breasts. Think of your breasts like a teardrop that does that. It doesn't matter how you do it. I tend to start in circles, going around the outside, moving in until I get to the nipple. When I get to the nipple, and I'm pressing quite firmly here, I feel behind the nipple as well. The final place to look is underneath your armpit, because you can get enlarged lymph nodes there. If you're slim, you may feel them normally, and they're about the size of a split pea or a lentil. Cancerous lymph nodes are bigger and firmer, maybe like a marble or a boiled skillet. The trick is to relax your armpit. So rest your hand on your shoulder. With this hand, what you're trying to do is squish the tissue and the fat of your armpit against your rib cage. So my hand's nice and relaxed. My arm's going in really, really high above the hairline. And I'm just kind of squishing up there to see, can I feel any hard lumps underneath my fingers? And then do the other side.
That was very informative there.
All right.
That's very informative. We appreciate you, First Nurse Kimberly Reese. Once again, you knocked it out the park. We appreciate you coming in and always keeping us on our toes about what. Yeah. All right. We'll be back, y'all, in about one and a half minutes. And me and my brother, we're going to bring in our special guest, Miss Gina Duvernay. You don't want to miss this, so we'll be back.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And I persuaded teachers for the first time to engage in a teachers' march. And so we agreed that we were going to march.
Nice.
First of all, serving notice
on our nation. It's Dr. Frederick Douglass Reese.
We march. We march. We march.
He said, what shall we do? I said, we are going back. He said, Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on? We are back. We are back. Thank you for coming back to the Lineage Podcast. We appreciate First Nurse Miss Kimberly Reese keeping us informed. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. To all my ladies and gentlemen out there, please try to get it early detection. Please do your exams, your self exams, even if you need to go to the hospital, to the doctor, and to your physician and get it going. Go ahead, bro.
Say that for the men again, because a lot of times we struggle with going to the doctor, man.
That's real, man. We don't want to go to the doctor unless we almost dying.
Yeah.
Right.
Got
I've
to
been guilty of that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten better, I must say.
Yeah. I got better. But today's topic is about evolution. I want to give our guests a little minute to come in. We're talking about evolution. We're talking about the vote. We're talking about, y'all know we like to talk about, it's across the board, man, where we can really talk about. And one thing I will say, I appreciate our listeners being attentive, man, and they really do participate with the conversation, no matter where we going with it. Last week we were talking about a few things, and they were in it, and you know, whether we agree or disagree, man, it's always good to have these conversations, because a lot of these type of conversations don't happen in our community. One thing I do know, that our community right now, it's hot topic to talk about relationships all the time. But at the same time, it's other conversations that needs to be had. And I'm so glad that we have a platform that we are not one dimensional. We can talk about a lot of things that's needed in the community. So if you've been following us for a minute, we've talked about mental health. We talked about the vote. We talked about relationships. We talked about single fathers and single mothers, and we talked about stepfathers, and we talked about the church, and is it still the cornerstone of the Black community? We talked about science. We went few far in between, and we can absolutely do that. And because our grandfather was he was well-rounded, for lack of better words, he was well-rounded. I know, bro, we can talk about, before our guests come on, our guest is special guest. She's an archivist. She's a cultural consultant. She is a librarian. She can stewardship. We can go on. She popping in. So what I'll do before I introduce her, I read her bio. Gina Duvernay, librarian, archivist, and cultural consultant, is the Digital Humanities Program Manager at the Clark Atlanta University Art Museum, whose work centers around digital archiving for the enhancement of preservation and greater accessibility of collections. Duvernay is active in the field of librarianship and archives, and advocates for the collection, stewardship, and discoverability of resources related to African American history and culture. She serves as a counselor at large and as a Coretta Scott King Book Award juror for the American Library Association. Duvernay holds master's degrees from Auburn University and at Montgomery and the University of Alabama. She is currently pursuing a PhD in humanities at Clark Atlanta University. If you don't understand what's going on right now, Miss Gina Duvernay is well-rounded. So I'll bring her in. Without further ado, Lineage Podcast and the audience, please welcome Miss Gina Duvernay. How are you doing?
I am good. First of all, thank you. I don't expect people to pronounce my name correctly, and you're flawless with it. So thank you.
I appreciate it. You know, I try to do my homework and stay on top of it when I'm bringing in guests, because, you know, I know that can that can make or break you. But
That's right.
it's an honor to have you.
That's
Thank
right.
you. It's an
Yeah.
honor to be here.
Yeah, just to be honest, it's an honor to have you. We met through when you were at Emory.
Yeah.
And our relationship stems from when we were trying to, pretty much thinking about the archiving route with our granddad's collection. And you've been so nice with us and giving us so much information and helping us out. So personally, we appreciate that.
Oh, no problem.
We really appreciate that. Now I know we can go because you are well rounded. And
As you both are, life will do that to you. If you live long enough, you might pick up a few things,
That's right. That's right.
Right. So, okay, I'll ask you this
All right.
because I have to ask this. Okay, so it says you're a librarian, archivist, and cultural consultant, the digital humanities program manager at Clark Atlanta University Art Museum, whose work centers around digital archiving for the enhancement of preservation and greater accessibility of the collection. That's what I like there. Why do you think it is important to have access to something as far as like digital archiving nowadays? Like, why is it important, like going forward?
It's important because it greater access means we can see the information that we're viewing online, and the little boy in China can see it too. Like, it's open for anybody everywhere that has access to a computer, right? And that is not even putting it on a computer doesn't give it to access to everybody, because everybody doesn't have access to a computer around the world. I'm talking globally, But the majority that do have access to a computer can access any information, like all of the information. I mean, shoot, I thought I knew a little something about your grandfather, but I didn't know everything that you shared earlier, So, like that information, if that was put online with the context, if you put photographs and like you have with the videos and you give context around it, you're teaching people. People are learning by viewing what the content that you've made available for them.
That and that is true, because now it can be worldwide.
That's right.
Instead of meeting at one place to everyone look over it, things can be worldwide. And that's the evolution of the world and the way we're going to. Right. What made you? I know you can give me a lot of different things. What made you want to get into this background, particularly? Because I know you moved to Montgomery, and you lived in Montgomery for 10 years, and you moved to Atlanta right before the pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
So what made you throughout your life? What made you want to jump into the field that you're in?
Yeah.
It's a family thing.
What's that?
I said it seems like it's a family thing about.
People have told us that, and I don't know. Yeah, we can't call it. I have no idea. I don't know how that shaped out that way. But and looking at what I do, what my siblings do, it does seem to align itself with being proud of being Black, being proud of our history, being proud of our culture. And there's so many different ways to not only be proud, right, but create content so that we're sharing. We're all in the fields where we share this information, whether it's creatively through films, whether it's, I have a sister that works at the Equal Justice Initiative in Montgomery, and she's the deputy director. So all the beautiful content that they're putting out about foot soldiers such as your grandfather, like, people don't know until they know. And how will they know unless you make this information accessible? But accessible is one thing. You also have to make it discoverable. How are people going to find you? You could you could put it out there, but how are they going to know you're there? So there's that promotion of it and making it accessible, especially when you're putting stuff online. You have to make sure that people have a way to find you.
Right. Right.
But as far as getting into this, I don't know how collectively as a family we got into it, but for me, maybe it's my age, but when I grew up, it was like, okay, the way you do it is you graduate and you get that good government job and you sit and everything's great for life, right? But so that was the field that I entered after being young and doing, while I was in college, I did like retail jobs, like every retail place you can think of, and fast food place, except McDonald's. And and then I started to work for city government.
Okay.
And then when I moved to Alabama, I worked for the state government. But it was doing that work I could have done until I retired, but I felt like I was not being able to express myself creatively. And
Mhm.
so there just was a calling for me to do that. So I started to really soul search and figure out like, what do I do? What would I do every day?
Mhm.
And I would do it even if I wasn't getting paid for it.
Got you.
Wow.
Got you.
And all the signs pointed to librarianship.
Got you.
It didn't happen overnight. It took me a while to like think it through, and I was agonizing about what am I doing with my life, you know.
Mhm.
But when I got into it, I decided to, I was like, oh, you have to get a master's to be a librarian. I didn't know that, I was like, wow, okay, so
Right.
okay, let me find out where to go. And I went to the University of Alabama, and I got the degree. It took about 2 years, and I was still working for the state. And when I got to doing the job, my first position was at Alabama State. I had wished I'd been doing it all the whole time for the
Got you.
past 20 years, but
Got
it allowed me to do the things I already do. It allowed me to, for me, my position there was to collect the content. So I was
Mhm.
managing the special collections area, and that managed all of the African American books and periodicals. And so I had to purchase these things or replace them if they, walked out of the library and never came back. It was
Mhm.
like just listening to the faculty, listening to the students and the community and seeing what are they researching, what do they need. And it was my job to make sure that was available. But
Oh,
not
wow.
only that, I had to promote it, just like I said, to make it discoverable. I had to get out in the community and shake hands and kiss babies and make relationships so that,
Mm.
I can tell people, come in, look at all this wonderful stuff we have for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think it's important because I didn't coming up first? I have two different questions.
Mhm.
Are we being represented in your field a lot? Do you see a lot of us in that field, or is this something new? You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's important for us to represent our history. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So is this
Yeah.
something, a new wave that we're getting into as librarians and people who are out there trying to preserve Black history? Uh,
Mhm.
you
I
know,
would say no. I would say no to that firstly and
okay,
foremost. So no, I would say there's not enough of us.
okay, all
There's
right.
not enough people of color, period. But as far as Black folks, there's not enough of us. There's not enough
Mm,
of Asian folks. There's not enough people of color, right?
Mhm.
But it's not to say that Black folks have not been doing this work.
got
They might have been one at their place of employment, right?
mm,
Right.
But they were there. It wasn't like they
Mhm.
didn't exist. And
Right.
and going beyond that, I would say people like yourselves, you are doing the same thing, right? You're sharing this historical content and you're making it relevant to today, but you're remembering the past, and you're showing how the past can shape our present and our future. And that's the work. That's the work. So yes, I have a degree to say I am this and I can be employed by certain institutions. But again, this is kind of what I was already doing before I was a librarian. Like I was already a librarian and archivist before I knew that I was. You know what I'm saying?
okay,
Um,
okay.
and so there's so many people, especially today with this online content. You can go to IG just like you are. There are people just like you or your peers and colleagues that are out there putting out amazing archival content,
Mhm.
amazing, you know, photographs. There are whole pages that put out this stuff, and they're putting factual information so that people just can go to IG and just learn a whole bunch of stuff they never knew before about
Right.
African American culture, Black culture, the diaspora. They can learn so much. So I mean, it's
Mhm.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
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 So I would
Yeah.
say it's not new. We're finding new ways to do it. But I would say that there are people that like myself that are studying this field, and we're in it. And so, a lot of people forget about us, that we even exist, that this work is
Yeah,
happening behind the scenes, right? So when you go to the library and you see the book and everything, or you see the collection, nobody thinks about how did this get here?
that's
There's a
true.
lot of behind the scenes work. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I wanted to ask you this when we first
Mhm.
met. If there was a book that I needed to read, what book would it be?
There you go.
Wow, man, that's a good question. And the one, I mean, so the list is long, right?
I know.
But the one that pops up to the one that first came up is the only one I could share, and that would be Cast by Isabel Wilkerson.
Now someone else said, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, and they just came out with like a young adult version of it, because it's a heavy text to digest.
Okay.
So shoot, adults can indulge in the young adult version, right? Just to get a grasp of it. Yeah. So, yeah.
I have one more question because we can ask you plenty of questions. It's mountains of questions we can ask, but we know you got to go. You're busy later. Okay. I'll ask you this. Do you think, honestly, your opinion, do you think there is an agenda to divide Black people? In your honest opinion?
To divide, I believe that there definitely was. I don't, we're talking about now. I mean, it still continues. I mean, you got people like Kanye, That's all I can say is his name. And, I'm already exhausted. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Man.
Yeah, so I guess I can say was, it is in some respects, yes. But I think that, it just takes it, you have to be a certain kind of person to fall for the okie doke. I don't know. Yeah.
I know I said that was my last one. One more question before you go.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with you and your sisters, and I had to ask this. I seen the profound, like the credit and y'all help each other and y'all give each other words of encouragement. I forgot what network it was. Because me and my brother, one thing about us, going on this journey, sometimes you can have up moments, you can have down moments, you can have discouraging moments, especially because this is dear to our hearts.
Yeah.
So when we put out this, and we not only are we trying to put grandfather in his place where he belongs, sometimes because he is our grandfather, when we get the no's, sometimes it can get to you because that's our family. And because we know this is what we do, right? So sometimes us as brothers, we lean on each other,
right,
to lift each other up. How important do you? Because I know a lot of families say they can't work together, right? they can't work together, and it's gonna go down. In your personal experience, how important is it to lean on those comments and those prayers and those words of encouragement? Because a lot of times we, as a stigma, we Black people don't work with your family, which that's not true.
Right.
It has cons, but I think if you do it right, it has more pros.
Right.
How important in your journey has it been for you to have that backbone to help you when times are down?
I mean, incredibly important. I think people with siblings are mighty blessed, because we already have those built-in friends, that built-in support system from the bat. Like I have a niece, and she's the only child, and so I mean, I started on her, but but she has a favorite auntie, so she's okay.
Okay, you're gonna take that
one. But us having siblings growing up, I know they're there. You know what I mean? They're always going to be there for me, and just like I'm like super loyal. I'm always going to be there for them. Especially for my younger siblings, whether they want me to be in their business or not, I'm about to be in their business. So, I think it's important, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have, no matter what happens, like you were stating, we have these disappointments, and we do suffer through the no's and the rejections, but it's okay because it's your family that reminds you who you are, and they lift you up, and they tell you the truth. Because this no out here, these are from people that don't know you. They don't know your worth, and they get you to second guess that. But you got your people that are going to tell you, wait a minute now, don't fall for the okie doke, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right. So it's incredibly important.
I agree to that. I agree. Yeah.
You got anything else, bro? Because I we can go all day with Miss Gina.
I want to know how do you like living in Atlanta, and what's the difference between living in Atlanta and living in Montgomery, as far as the the circles and the
Yes.
the work ethic, as
Yes.
far as what you do in the black community, as far as getting our history together and
Right.
working together for civil rights and voting rights and the different things. What do you see the difference
Yeah.
between Atlanta and Montgomery?
Well, firstly, I'll say, so I'm from California and I moved to Montgomery with the idea that I was going to be there for a short time while I quickly make my way to Atlanta. But then I got caught up in Montgomery and ended up there for a decade, right?
Yeah.
That happens. But so Montgomery has a very special place in my heart. It's like my second home, right? So California is my first home and Montgomery is my second home. And I was there 10 years. So I have relationships with people that I worked with and people in the community. And man, it's Montgomery. So you can just smell civil rights in the air, right? You can smell,
right.
You can smell that collaboration and camaraderie. And everybody understood and understands the significance of the place that they're living in and the history there, and are always happy to, at least the people that I ran with are happy to share that information. I could get on the phone and be like, so-and-so is visiting Montgomery, and that's all I got to say. And they taken care of, and they showing them around and taking them on tours and this and that, because everybody's excited to do that. I really enjoy living in Atlanta. I'm actually in Decatur. I really love living out here because for me, it's the perfect combination of sort of like the city life of LA, of California, and then and then it's like the Montgomery, and it's LA and AL had a baby.
Yeah.
Right.
It is Atlanta. So because I really just love everything that there is to do out here and whatnot, right? Like I don't have to drive 2.5 hours down the road to go to a show or anything.
That's
like
true.
there's theaters there, there's a theater there, Shakespeare and whatnot. But I moved here right before the pandemic. So I am just feeling like that piece of time kept me in the house, right? So now I'm just getting back out there. So I just moved here and now I'm just exploring everything. So I do love it. But as far as the history, there's a whole bunch of history here. You know what I mean? I go to school at Clark. And so you just drive down there, the street names, they're named after civil rights, foot soldiers and leaders.
Clark, Morehouse, and Spelman.
Yeah.
Right.
Was Brown,
Yeah. So I tell people, if you just look up and you look around, there's history. It's right there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Look, Miss
Before
Gina,
we let you go, I got one thing to say.
Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Miss Gina been going back and forth on Instagram, and she's supposed to do a tour. In Selma.
That's right.
Our tour. Now, what I want you to do is get you and your sisters together and your family.
Okay.
Y'all come do a tour with us. It's on us.
Okay.
Whatever you choose, tell me. Because the thing is, when you said you didn't know a lot of things about F.D. Reese,
that's right.
This tour is gonna blow your mind.
Yeah. I'm prepared to be blown. My mind be blown. Okay.
Blow your mind. So make sure y'all get together and take the F.D. Reese historical tour in Selma, Alabama.
I would absolutely love to do that.
Miss Gina Duvernay, we really appreciate you. We can go all day, but we can't hold you. We really appreciate you joining us. It's an honor to have you as a guest on our podcast. This is historical. Feel free to pop in anytime. Anytime you got something to say, hit us up. You got our numbers. Let us know. I got something to say. I need to be on there.
All right.
You're welcome. This you can treat this as okay. LA is the first home. Montgomery's second home, Atlanta be third home. We'll say the Lineage Podcast will be home number 4.
All right, I like it. I like
that.
Well, thank you both. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, until next time.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, that was great, bro.
It
was great. Now we can get into. Now we know the voting climate is still going on. Now, Mrs. Duvernay really opened our eyes with something before we got on live. We're gonna have to talk about that off the air. But thank you, Miss Gina Duvernay, man. She She was great. You know, she really didn't have to do that, but you
It's
know,
very important for us as Black people to know how important educating ourselves on how to preserve our
hmm
history. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And making it, keeping ownership and
hmm
making it available for
hmm
people to obtain the information.
hmm
And people like Miss Duvernay is important. See, people don't know, man. They probably look at her sister. Her sister is a producer, Ava Duvernay,
hmm
producer of I think 13th Amendment in Selma.
She did
But
13-7, and when they
when they
see
see
us,
us,
yeah,
and people don't know, families, man, hold this information. You never know what the whole family is doing. You know,
right,
this is a family man that you
right.
see that's working behind the scenes. You get what
Yeah,
I'm saying? To preserve history and information. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And you know, you just can't put people in the entertainment world and think that's it. You know, look at her, look at
hmm
Gina, man. You know, she's
hmm
very, very valuable to the community
Right.
just by her profession. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? You
Right.
know, and one thing about it, when Mr. Matt Daniels, he passed, man, during COVID. And he was the
hmm
one that took us around Emory and showed us Emory archives. And
hmm
man, when he passed, you know, we kind of lost contact with Emory, and she was the one that our information fell on her desk. You know,
hmm
even though we decided, you see how relationships is, y'all. Even though we decided not to go with Emory, but we still had a relationship. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? That's
Exactly.
important, man. We act like that the relationship stop when we don't work together in what we thought we was gonna do.
Yeah.
But it shows
And,
that the relationship continued. You know what
it
I'm saying?
continued. And let's be and one thing about us, we are very um what did um Erica Badu say? I'm sensitive about my stuff. We sensitive about what we doing with FD, and we actually, I can say this without telling everything. We had a meeting today that we had to get things aired out um over over things that pertains to my grandfather
Over a decade ago.
over a decade
We
ago.
stand on
um
truth here.
right, and this meeting was needed to
Hmm.
clear the air and to move forward.
That's
And,
right.
and what I will say, what both parties realized, even our party realized a couple of things. Okay, it gave us some clarification. But one thing I would say that the other party realized is this family is serious about anything that
Hmm.
has to do with Dr. F.D. Reese. So we're not going to let anyone, if we feel that we may be getting taken advantage of, or we feel that this is not the right answer, and we don't feel right with this, that, and the third, we are going to voice it, and we're going to move accordingly. And like you said, even with Miss Gina, though we didn't go with Emory, um, she still kept that relationship going, and didn't take it to heart, but she understood. And as a matter of fact, before we came on live, she was even giving us more advice and information on how we could potentially move forward
That's right.
with another. So it's not about that. When people see that you are trying to be right, and you're trying to handle your business, and you are and it's serious, and of course it's sensitive. That's our grandfather and what he did. We ain't finna mess that up. And so people respect that, man. At the
That's
end
right.
of the day,
That's right.
people respect that at the end of the day. Man, that's yeah, that was a good one. We appreciate her for joining, for coming on. I'm gonna say we shall overcome and become. Now with that, like, we can go. You know, we don't have too much longer, but you know us, whatever it is, what it is. We shall overcome and become. Me and bro, we was even talking with our parents today about voting. And I know my brother had a couple of jokes, but uh, one thing I do agree with, and what we touched on last week, is um, it's voting season, but we need to start thinking about how do we redirect our vote. What are you going to do specifically for Black people?
I got to say something. But I think we as that's a sensitive conversation, and we have been taught, and I'm not a, and I understand that we have been taught to be inclusive as a race.
Mm-hmm.
We have been taught that it is the white race, and it's against everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is the black, Asian, Latino community, so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel in this climate, in this time, we as black people really have to look at the everyone else conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're always, and we continue to get the short end of the stick with the everyone else conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And some people might disagree with me, but I love to have dialogue, and I love to have uncomfortable conversations.
Facts.
So we as a people can get to a comfortable state of mind and a state of place in America.
Right.
The only way to get to this point is to have an uncomfortable conversation.
Correct.
We, as black people, have to say, is it time to take our names out of the minority conversation and
Mhm.
into the black conversation? Because when I look around, when I look at when we vote and police reform has not happened, who
Mhm.
does it affect the most? Black people.
Mhm.
When George Floyd died and the officer put his knee on George Floyd's neck, that did not prompt any black hate crime bill.
Right.
But we had 7 or 8 Asian Americans get attacked at the subway or in different places in America, and we signed an Asian hate crime bill. Now,
Right.
they always talk about the civil rights or the my civil rights crime bill, but everyone can tap into that crime bill.
Right.
We do not have a hate crime bill that's specifically for black people.
We don't.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't.
Specifically
Right.
for black people.
For black people. Right.
And I want to say, well, is it because that we always say that everyone should be inclusive when it's not just the white race?
Mm-hmm.
Because why police reform has not been reformed? Why
Right.
jury duty has not been reformed?
Right.
Why we don't have a hate crime bill? Those things needs to happen, man.
Mm-hmm.
But because we are the only ones who were goods and imports in America from the story that we learned with slavery. We were not immigrants. We were imports and goods.
Right.
For 43, 44 years of slavery. Then
That's
you put in the Jim Crow laws and all that for 50 years.
Right.
So when is this conversation going to be had that black people want things passed for black people? And it's okay, y'all. Look, we say black power, we will say black girl magic, we'll say all these different slogans. So what is wrong for our government to say it is okay to pass things for black people? I want to have that conversation, man.
Right.
I really do.
And the stage is unfortunate. We get lost in the shuffle when we utilize the word minority. It even feels as if it doesn't really pertain to blacks. We need to be intentional about specifically voicing the need for black people. 100%.
That's right.
100%.
And so my mama and I was having this conversation today.
Mm-hmm.
And and I understand some of the older generation, that is not a conversation that they particularly wanted to have. They really just was concentrating on being inclusive. Well, let's be honest. Our beginning in America was not started like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about you got to play chess. Well, chess, everybody starts out in the same position, and you can see everybody's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? We started out as slaves, 1/5 of a man. Okay, We didn't start as immigrants and came over here and was able to get jobs and work and build our family wealth up. No, we gave them 200 and some years or 300 years of free labor.
Free labor.
That is the reason why America has a 300-year wealth gap between black and whites
Mm-hmm.
because of slavery.
Right.
I don't care what anybody say. America was built off the backs of slaves. The railroads, cotton, the banking system. The reason why they have their wealth is because of slavery, and everything stemmed from that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Fact.
so that is the truth. But then we say what we're going to do for black people. Oh no, it has
No,
to be
no.
inclusive everybody. Minorities, what?
Just like Anastasia says, it's like a safety net to say minority, but blacks don't feel inclusive, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not included in that. And you're 100% right.
we not.
We not be a little selfish now. It's time to be a little selfish.
It is, bro. It's time to be
Yeah.
selfish for the better good.
Mhm.
For our grandchildren. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. It's okay to say we're doing something for the black community. It is time. They use that to get in office. And I want everybody to remember this. And I know it's voting season, but man, I'm tired of us just going to the polls blinded. Sleepy Joe, President Joe Biden, said that he ran on the emotions of black people with George Floyd. It started with you can go all the way back to Trayvon Martin. You can go back to Sandra,
To Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor. You can go. All that happened.
Mhm.
Black people marched, even though it was white people marched too. Black people marched, but it was a lot of black people that died unjustifiably, and they ran on the emotions of black people. And we voted them in. Georgia saved them in the Senate, saved them. And then when we get in office, you say we can't do stuff for black people. You say you can't do that, but then you sign a Asian hate crime.
Right.
So I want our black people to understand. We go to the polls. What are we gonna do to scare the hell out of somebody? And yes, I said it. We got to scare the hell out of one of these political parties to say, look, either we're gonna scare the hell out of the Democrat Party, or we're gonna talk to the Republican Party and say, look, you can continue to keep your racist ways. You can continue to keep prayer in your schools. You can continue to keep and whatever you want to say about the LGBT community, you can continue to do that. What we're saying, what we want to do, we want to talk about what you're going to do for black people. If we can work together on that, okay. Something has to happen. But I cannot sit here and tell my kids for the next 40 and 50 years that voting Democrat down the line every time now. Look, I'm not saying all Democrats are bad, because they're not. But what I'm saying is that we as black people got to start thinking, when are we going to do what's right for our black folks when we go to the polls? Because it hurt my feelings that George Floyd died, and they made we had a big hoorah about it. And Sleepy Joe went in there and signed an Asian crime bill and have not signed a black hate crime bill. That is a shame.
Right.
That's a shame before God.
Right.
I'm sorry. So I want to know if the older generation, okay, y'all don't want to have this conversation. Well, if you're 40 and down, let's start having it. And maybe we'll see some change when we turn 70.
That's right.
This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. If you have a sprinter's mentality, we ain't got a sprinter's mentality. We have a marathon mentality. But it's time for black folks to stop getting bamboozled, because that's what happened.
Basically, the point blank, that's what's happening. Anastasia says, beyond the time to be selfish. We get all these promises and a grain of hope off of our emotions just to see no positive outcomes specifically for blacks. That's right. That's what happened.
It's a shame. And I want us to wake up and really think about it. Really think about it. What it take one election for black folks to vote libertarian down the line.
You take one, bro.
One election. That's it. For us to stand on our loins and vote libertarian down the line one time. Since we don't vote for each other, like I said, it's a lot of communities that I see in America that has a lot of black government. And what I see, black folks won't vote just for black folks to be successful. White folks, racist white people, not all white people. Now, see, ain't gonna fool me with that one. Racist white people voted and they did things for the better good for their people. And they
Right.
still do it.
Mm-hmm.
You best believe they still do it.
That's right.
I don't care what they tell you. When are we as a black people gonna do things just for us as black people?
Our people.
But guess what? Those, and I don't care nobody say, one thing about the establishment, they respect people who win. When you have a lion's mentality, look, entrepreneurs and people who do it, and they do it on a high level, they don't talk about lion's mentality. They don't talk about shark's mentalities for nothing. They talk about those specific mentalities because guess what? They are the kings. They do anything necessary to win.
Mm-hmm.
The lion, like I heard one time, I think Ray Lewis said, the lion's not the biggest, he's not the smartest, he's not the fastest, and he's not the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
What makes him the lion? The mentality.
That's right.
What makes him the king of the jungle? The mentality. The elephant is the biggest, the cheetah is the fastest, probably the monkey is the smartest. But when a lion step in the room, he is respected because guess what? He believes that I am the king, and whatever happens, I'm gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of mentality black people got to have to
That's-
be
that's
successful
right.
in America.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
To be
Respect.
successful in America.
Respect. Sometimes you earn respect out of fear.
That's right.
When
That's
you say
right.
we gotta scare the hell out of them, we got to. Sometimes
Hey.
you earn respect out of fear, man.
Think about it. Racist white people burned down Tulsa, Oklahoma, what we consider Black Wall Street, what we could try to say black excellence in our businesses. Rosewood, Florida. How did they change the mentality of the people? It's not only that they burned it down, but they showed those people we'll burn it down again.
Mm-hmm.
They put fear in black people that black people did not build it back.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
when are
right.
we gonna have that same mentality to say whatever it takes, that's what we're gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
And if it means everyone losing and being uncomfortable, let it be.
That's what it means.
Sure.
It is what it is.
That's what it means. When I voted for the last election, and some of the judges I knew, I wrote in black hate crime bill. It took me long as ever to vote. I'm not voting for you because I know you. I figure you're gonna win because you're in the DeKalb County, but I want you to see my ballot. I want you to see my ballot. What I'm teaching on today. Where is our black hate crime bill?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? I'm gonna write it in. That's who I'm voting for. I ain't voting for you.
Go. There you go. See, messages like this too radical for a lot of people.
Too
bro.
radical.
It's too radical for it, but we don't care. Gina said the Reese brothers are the truth. We appreciate that. Gina here, she said, I have to have you kings back on the show with the panel discussion for my show on Comcast Xfinity. Please believe we'll do that. Not
Come
a
on,
problem.
bro.
I'm
Book it.
saying we'll do it. I'm saying we'll do it. Book it. Anastasia said we do need to instill the fear at this point. We have the manpower. Just have to be on code. We need to recognize our power now more than ever. You're 100% right, Anastasia.
Yep.
We need to be on code. We need to go and say, look, these are the top 5 things to black people as a community. This is what we need. And I'll put my vote in. Reparations need to be on that, and a crime bill need to be on that thing.
MJ, black people have the system. Our grandfather and posses, all them, they created a system through fraternities, through the conventions, the gospel conventions.
Right.
Every denomination got them.
That's right.
They have created a system that we can get the information out by the masses through the internet, through the convention. Because see, older people might go to the convention, but they might not use the internet. So guess what? We use the conventions for
they there.
that.
Right.
We use the fraternities and the sororities because a lot of them they in their own professions. We can get the information out.
Definitely get it out through them.
Less insurance.
Right.
We have the system to do it. When are we gonna do it? Let's work. Let's have this conversation.
That's right.
MJ, it would be a shame that we die and go in our grave and we still talking about police reform in America for black people. It would be a shame. We would have failed. And when we go in our grave and we're only 14% of the population, and we're still 65% of the population inside the jail home.
That's right.
we as leaders and as activists, we would have failed.
Mm-hmm.
You best believe it.
Mhm.
Job not finished. We
Mhm.
failed. F minus.
Mm-hmm.
If this generation, I'm 37, I just turned 37 years old. MJ, between the activists of 45 and 30 years old, if we die, y'all, I know y'all hear this one day. If we die, and our kids and grandkids are still fighting for the same thing, we did not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't go to bed at night and feel that same, not just anger, but that same emotion, you need to step away from being an activist.
Mm-hmm.
Stop taking advantage and taking black folks' money, using it unjustifiably, becoming millionaires and stuff off donations that's supposed to go back into the community towards mental health and towards the black community and helping passing laws, marijuana laws statewide. Forget federal. When the last time you seen people go to jail for marijuana federally? I'm talking about these states, these racist states in the South.
Mm-hmm.
You taking those millions and going to buy mansions when they donated to your cause. Something wrong with you, Jay.
Mm-hmm. That's facts, man.
Something wrong with you as an activist.
That's
You
facts.
need, black folks need to be on call and know slave catchers still out there. If you've seen the movie Harriet, it's true. That black man was a slave catcher. And know those people are still, those black folks who look like us are really not us.
They still
They
there.
need to be exiled. If you're not about your black people, something wrong with you.
That's right.
I'm for everyone when black people are being treated right.
Yeah, get us straight.
That's just
Everybody
what
else
it
straight.
is.
Right, get us straight.
Shoot,
Get the
if we
people
don't
that
do this,
built it.
that's right. If we don't talk and be about our community, our grandfather rolling in his grave, it ain't about the money. It ain't about History on the
Right.
Perry, it ain't about F.D. Reed's book. It's not about the tours, teaching the people. I love doing that. But at the end of the day, we need to leave our generation, our kids better than what it is now, bro.
That's facts.
Simple as that. And
That's
just
right.
voting for Democrats down the line every election and they not doing nothing is not the way to go. Now, I said now, y'all can talk about Ice Cube. Now, I don't care. Man,
Right.
vote Democrat down the line every election and not doing your homework is not the way to go. Vote Republican down the line in every election is not the way to go. We got these churches, man. It's a shame. Our grandfather used the church not only to worship God, but at the same time to educate the people on how black folks need to be on code and how to move together as corporately. Not just about your house, your car, your education, your job. No, we as a black people, how do we move together corporately so we all can be successful?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man.
Right.
Shoot.
And
Now,
it's a church on every corner.
church on every corner. And they dead. They
Right.
walk around the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you're going in there and all you're doing is send people out selfish about thinking about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
About what I'm going to get in my house, in my car. That does nothing for your community if you want to be up there by yourself and look down and tell people, look what I have. Shame on you.
That's right.
That's the truth, bro.
100% right, man.
Now,
100% right. 100% right.
that's just how I feel, man.
We got to change the mentality, and it's not an overnight thing. But like you said, we got to start somewhere. And I think we'll get the real attention, man, if we get on code about something, because that's what they didn't want. Why do you think it was against the law for 5 people to congregate in Selma, Alabama?
Because they know they talking about
black
moving
people
corporately.
They know they talking about moving forward. We can't have them on one. We can't have them under one
Yeah,
accord. We can't do that.
Man, FD said, I watch this video all the time, man, what FD said. He was in his office in the Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
He said he wasn't just satisfied with getting the vote.
Getting the vote.
What you gonna do with your vote?
with the vote?
We want to put people in place to help raise our people up. That's his exact words. Raise our people up. We ain't raising them up. Our people, black people.
Because what's happening is they just want to get the vote, but the people that's getting the vote ain't doing nothing with the vote.
What they doing with their vote?
Right.
And then once we vote, who we vote for, what you doing with your vote?
Right.
and with your voice and with your power to write laws. See, they understood the power of laws, bro.
Mm-hmm.
See, look, Martin Luther King, FD, C.T. Vivian, Fred Shuttlesworth, all them could have been lawyers. They understood the power of the law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we ain't trying to change your heart.
We don't change laws now. We do,
Right.
because we in there, and what we doing, we compromised. We compromise. Now I understand you got to give a little bit to get a little bit. You can't get everything you want up front.
Right.
Look, man, I understand that. But what we getting? What we getting, man? Nothing.
What they do now, they like you said, they come after our emotions. So that's why Meg Thee Stallion is meeting with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Chelsea Clinton. That's why Carter B meet with Bernie Sanders. Because
you're right. And that's why
go ahead. What happens is they come after our emotions, and what do? Eat it up.
Eat it up. And they change streets to Black Lives Matter. I don't want to see another street change to Black Lives Matter.
Mm-mm.
Why? What does that do?
Nothing.
What does Black Lives Matter changing the street up? Do you think they're gonna stop racism? Huh? Do you think them racist folk care about that street? That street marked Black Lives Matter. They're gonna drive right on it. So they know it's the law. It's the letter of the law that has power.
That's right,
that
bro.
Street been marked Black Lives Matter, or the sign been changed Black Lives Matter, don't mean nothing. I'm telling y'all that it don't. You putting a sign in front of your house that says Black Lives Matter does not mean nothing. But what means something, if you tell your House of Representative or your senator to change the law that'll benefit Black people, and change police reform, and change jury duty reform, and change the way the banks do Black people with the appraisal on their homes in their area, and give Black people the right interest rate, and give them the same loans you give white businesses and white private loans. See, that carries power. Saying Black Lives Matter don't mean that.
Don't mean that.
Don't mean that.
Bro, I read they giving. I read that they're giving our white brothers and sisters loans, and they make 20 to 30% less than us, and they're getting better loans. It's happening. I'm talking about today.
I know.
I ain't talking about 40, 50 years ago. I'm talking about today.
Yeah,
they doing it. It's like you say, it don't matter, man. You can hit the hoopla to Black Lives Matter. You can put the shirt on. You can put the hat with the glasses on, all of that. But what I'm saying is, a lot of the times we, as our people, we fall for that. But then when me and you, and we get on here and we have shows like this, and when we say change the letter of the law, that will get swept under the rug.
Can't do that.
If we got on here and we came up with some controversial statement or something like that, it'll go viral.
Yeah, man, if we came on here and talked about who the GOAT, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Black people gonna eat it up.
Or we start talking about Kanye or Ye, what the name is, Ye now.
Yeah,
Ye. Talking about him, it'll go viral. But conversations like this are what's more important and what's needed. But you can only do what you can do and hope that it lands on the right ears and keep it moving. But yeah, Anastasia said that it's definitely happened. I guess she a personal situation.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say that it's still happening today, but we have the power, especially with the vote. That's one thing we do have the power. The vote means something.
It does. That's why they try to take it away from you.
Millions of dollars on the black vote for nothing, y'all.
And that's why Kemp, I told my mama they're gonna vote for Kemp, but I be messing with her. But that's why Kemp make it harder not to register to vote. But what he does, this is what voting suppression does. He makes it hard. He closed down voting polls to make in the Black community, in the inner community, he make it be crowded. And then when you show up, you got everybody and their mom in the line. You say, man, I ain't going to vote.
I ain't going enough.
Nah,
you can't give out water.
You can't give no water, nothing like that. See, those are the tactics.
Right.
Those are the same tactics that they use when They'll say, count these jelly beans and count this. Those are the tactics that they use. See, when they say Kemp is making it hard to vote, no, he's not making it hard for you to register to vote. But see, he know we have a microwave mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So if I make it uncomfortable when they get to the voting polls, maybe they'll get out of line and they'll go somewhere else. Don't be fooled.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Those are tactics.
That's right.
But see, I'm willing to ask Kemp with his racist ways. Look, you know, God had a conversation with Satan. He said, have you considered my servant Job? I'm willing to have a conversation with him and say, hey, man, what are you going to do for black people?
Yeah.
And if it's beneficial for us, because no one else is out there when things are done for them saying, where is something being done for black people?
Right.
I didn't see when they passed the Asian hate crime bill. I didn't hear no Asians say, oh, we're going to have a black crime bill.
Yeah, they didn't say
So
thank
why
you.
should black people sit in the same seat and worry about everybody else? I don't get it.
Right.
And like I'm being honest with y'all. I went to American Deli downtown the other day. I walked in American Deli. I told them I'm gonna come out there picking if it happened again. They don't believe me. If I walk in there again, this happens, I'm gonna call y'all up and we're gonna pick it and tell folks don't go in this American Deli. I was downtown, I went to American Deli, and the Asian folks who was over, who the owner, the owner and his wife was talking to a black lady disrespectfully. MJ totally disrespect. And I couldn't take it. I told her, I said, hey, tell your cashier to talk to that lady. You could tell the lady was kind of mental ill, but she was taking her time, but she needed help. And the Asian was like, hurry up. And MJ, that has happened so many times in our community.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, I said, I said, no, you need to get her. Talk to her better than that. Get your cashier. And I told her, I said, look, y'all come in our neighborhoods. Y'all don't go to school with our kids. You don't shop in our neighborhoods. You don't stay in our neighborhoods, but you come and you suck our dollar out. Every American deli, beauty supply store, most of them are Asian owned. And they don't care nothing about us. But I've been telling folks to go to the beauty supply store in Stockbridge, beautiful store, black owned. We won't go because guess what? We want to be comfortable. But they don't care nothing about us. But then that's why they didn't say nothing about a black crime bill because they don't care.
They don't care. They
talk to us any kind of way. When y'all go up in the beauty supply store, they act like they're gonna rob you. My wife don't even go to the one by side the Care Mall because I made a ruckus over there when the lady was talking to me any kind of way. I told the manager, we come in here, we give our dollars, and y'all treat us like you know what. And I said, it's a shame. And black folks shouldn't come here. Y'all stop putting your dollar in places you're not wanted.
That's real, man. That's real.
No, man. If you got to drive 3-4 miles out the way, do it.
So what?
So what?
Right.
We have become a lazy people, and we got to wake up, bro.
Right.
Because we think we have the American dream.
Right.
Singly.
Right.
I said they took away porches and gave us patios. That architect was done by design to give us an individualistic mentality. To say it's about me. I'm in my home, I don't want to talk to nobody. But grandmama now knew who was coming in the neighborhood, knew who was coming out of the neighborhood. If a suspicious car was in the neighborhood, they'll call, hey Susan, hey Minnie. You see that yellow car down there?
Right.
They were more neighborhood oriented than us. We don't even know our neighbor.
Right.
We on the patio barbecuing. That's it.
Right. Exactly.
Wake up. Wake up.
Man, boy. You hit it on that. I'll let you ride on that, man.
That's the truth, bro. I can hoopla all day, man. But I'm telling y'all, I want y'all, when I say the word, this American don't give y'all the address. If I go in there next week and they treat black folks the same way, I need y'all to show up.
You know I'm there. All day.
And then we're gonna get on there, okay. Y'all pass the Asian crime bill. What you want? You want to pass a black crime bill, but this is how they treat black people. But y'all still want to vote to be inclusive for everybody. Come on, man.
Right. Right.
Come on, man. Come on, bro. Go on somewhere.
That's right. That's right, man. That's right. Oh man, we definitely over time.
Yeah, we over time, man.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Still some people in here. We sorry to leave you.
Yeah. Man, next we tune in, we got Kathy Walters.
Oh yeah, we got the author, one of the authors of the book,
Of the book.
Self-Sacrifice, the book that we're always talking about. Matter of fact, go get it on Amazon tonight. That way next week you'll have a one up.
That's right.
On what we're talking about. We were I don't know, we probably gonna open the book and talk about some things and let Kathy go, man. You know, just talk about it. Yeah, so please
Y'all
make sure y'all
go vote though. Guess what? But it don't stop at your vote.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gonna listen to when I say, man, black people need a lobbyist group.
Mm-hmm.
That's start one. All of it works together. In America, black people just can't sit around like the white people. We can't.
Okay.
America is not designed for us to be successful, but it's designed for us if we work the system. Just like you learn how to work the system to keep your credit up, just like you learn to work the system to keep anything else. It is a system. Just like I respect Alabama Roll Tide, the system. It's the system that makes you successful. So what we have to do, we as black people have to play the game, and we got to be all the way in the game. We just can't play halfway game. We just can't play a piece of the game. We got to play the full game, And if we do that, we will be successful as a people.
That's facts.
If we be on code, we will be successful. But we got to truly play the game, bro. All the way.
That's right. Till next week.
I vote for sale. Yeah. For the black community, it's for sale. Whoever gonna do something for the black community,
that's right.
I'm gonna vote. Best believe that.
Holla. Until next time, man. We appreciate y'all joining the Lineage Podcast. We will see y'all next week.